I've literally, it's taken me like, I'm starting the video, saying the wrong thing, starting again. I'm just gonna do it this take and whatever. I know that I've got auntie, sister, mum. You know, I've got a huge woman audience, female audience. Let me know which one's the right wording, because I saw something on the Made You Think page like last year. If you say female is offensive, just let me know, please. But anyway, I know that I've got a huge audience since the exposing of the Shea Borough. So it's very important that I kind of mix up with my content, and it's not always Ackhiii, ambush Ackhiii, you know, rappers Ackhiii. It's like I done a segment a couple days ago, and it was an interesting one. The segment that I done a couple days ago was about Plant Made, about the company, what happened to Plant Made, it being black owned, female owned, and I thought, let me just do a segment about what happened with, is it Grassfields, and just kind of piecing it together, watching multiple videos, and kind of having a full understanding of what's going on, and also giving awareness to these loan sharks and what's going on, and how hard it is to actually run a business. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because it's all in the grand scheme of things, building something up, but then not having the right accountants when HMRC is knocking on the door, you get me, and money's coming in and you're spending money and putting money into your personal accounts, and boom, boom, boom. There's two sides to every story, and companies getting bought. You going through liquidation, and understand you actually have no control. Do you know what I mean? And I feel like in our community, there's not much education out there. Not that there's not much education out there, because there is, but there's not maybe people with big platforms talking about the business side of things. And in order to do so, we need to do it within ourselves, because in the Jewish community or in multiple other communities, they got it. They know it. They know the strategy. They know the format, and they're developing. They're making millions upon millions upon millions, and we don't do that. So I thought, you know what? Let me try my best to kind of give at least 1 to 2 bits of content for our women, and you know, go from there, and then I'll tweak things and make things better. But I was looking at this Grassfields. I was looking at this Grassfields, what's been going on there. The scandal was in 2023. I understand that the company was liquidated and dissolved, and that in 2022, millions owed, 20 million pounds was owed in suppliers and refunds and staffing and etc. etc. Just spiraled out of control. So obviously, I know it was founded by two twin sisters. I understand one of the sisters came out and said that her sister had a life and death situation, etc., etc., etc. So this one here, Sit Tight, is going to be around an hour or whatnot. Do you know what I mean? Let's get into this.
Here's the full story of how my business Grassfields was stolen from me. In January of this year,
Oh yes, by the way, there's a lot of misinformation. So obviously, sis here, Christina and Michelle, I think. I'm not sure who's who. I think this might be Christina. And she's basically saying her business was stolen from her. Boom. Like, obviously, the company's saying, yo, this is mad slander. We have to address this. You're saying crazy stuff. And let's get into the logistics. So I'm going to give you information what accountants are saying and what other people in the community are saying. But anyway, just listen now.
Here's the full story of how my business Grassfields was stolen from me. In January of this year, my world came crashing down when my business Grassfields was stolen from me by the business partner/investors aboarding. It has been difficult sitting behind why destroy my name by changing the narrative without providing any proof. But it was such a shocking and life-changing event, I had to take some time. Now I'm ready to tell my side of the story and provide receipts. Between 2019 to 2022, Grassfields experienced massive growth, and as a result, we couldn't meet up with production.
So let me stop you here. So just me acting on my friend Crept that is growing Nala's baby and understanding the business as an investor as well. The money that he's raised, and when you scale your business, you need cash flow and the production and etc. etc. So what she's basically saying is like business has started from X now to scale it. Investors has come in and you need a cash flow. Do you know what I'm trying to say? You need a crazy cash flow. Like the money, you need money to make money, but you seem like all you're doing is buying products and there's no money in your account because you're always paying for invoices. But anyways.
So we decided to take on long-term loans to be able to increase our production capacity. All of these loans were granted because they were able to see our sales revenue and also our sales forecast. Scaling is scary, and like most business trying to scale, we hit some few tumbling blocks. The main one being that our new manufacturers produced some defective products we couldn't sell. Around that same time, I got a call from my sister saying that she had few days left to live. We could have easily survived defective products, but to add to that a dying sister was too much for me to bear.
Now look, I'm not here to say that anyone's lying and whatnot, but it's very bizarre you're growing a business and how a business can be in £20 million debt, and then obviously you get a call like from your sister, I presume it's your twin sister, saying she has 3 days to live. So then the business operation stops. If you're in that scale of business that's growing so fast, the business can run without you even being there, within a week or whatnot, or you can be point of contact, or you have a team. So obviously, I'm not here to say that she's lying or whatnot. I'm just saying that just looking at areas.
I shut down the business, dropped everything, and traveled to be by my twin sister's side. I don't know if any of you have ever been at the edge of losing a close sibling.
So this is my thing as well. If you have such a massive business and you have people that's working for you, you have bills to pay, you have your loyal customers buying products. There's no option to shut down the business. That business has to keep on going because there's other lives involved. There's people, there's workers that may have given birth and have children. There's other lives involved. So a strategy when you're building a business is you have to teach people how a business can run if you're not there. You have to be aware of these things.
It's something I find very difficult to be able to explain. In 1996, we lost our dad, and in 1998, we lost our elder brother.
Sorry for your loss.
Having to lose my twin sister was a pain I would never be able to describe. I spent almost 2 months with her, and within that time, we fought tooth and nail to keep her alive. Your prayers and your support meant the world to us. And during that time, a doctor saw our post, came out of retirement, and performed the operations that helped save my sister's life. We'll forever be grateful to that doctor. And Michelle's children, I'm sure, will never forget because they were able to get their mommy back.
And God bless, man. I'm so happy that obviously your sis is, obviously I don't know if she's back to normal, but it saved her life. Do you know what I mean? Deep. That's deep.
I returned to the business and it was a mess. We had lost revenue for almost 2 months, totaling about £700,000. I was still confident that we could get everything back on track. All we needed was working capital. So I went to our creditors and asked them to give us more loans. While they were happy to give us more loans, we needed to provide bank statements for a few months, which we didn't have because we had been closed for that period of time. But
let's talk about these loan stuff. This is where the downfall of businesses happen when you go through loans, whether they're loan sharks, whether they're loans. Because what happens is, guys, yeah, and obviously I'm gonna flip my screen and go to a bit what Crep said, and I'll give you 2 breakdowns. But when you're in desperate need to raise capital to run your business, you could be this loan shark could be asking for 3% a month. Now, 3% a month don't sound a lot, But when you're counting 36% a year, when normally businesses grow a year between 10 and 20%, then your business is not staying afloat because you're getting in a hole, in a deeper hole, in a deeper hole. And a healthy business is to grow 15, 20% a year. That's a healthy business. If you make an investment and you get 8 to 10% to 12% of your investment a year, like you've put in $1 million and you've got 10%, 12%, 100 and something thousand profit. That's amazing. So you got to understand these things with loan shots and that. And obviously, Krep's in a different position. The reason why he's in a different position, he built up his network, and then he raised capital within his friend circle. You get me? So it's different. It's not, he hasn't gone to a venture capitalist or loan shark or anything. So this is what Krep was saying also.
Tell me about the process of raising your first £1 million.
But all my friends believed in me, like Cones and that, everyone, like they believed in it straight away as soon as told them the vision.
So how many rounds was it? Like,
We've done 2 rounds. We done 1.5 each round.
Okay.
To raise that first 1.5, it probably took 2 weeks. Everyone was just like, yeah, straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't really have to do a lot of back and forth with everyone. Everyone kind of just got it.
And this is before they've even seen like physical products. It's just idea.
Like we got it to a point where it was, everything was done, the testing, everything was paid for, passed, this, that.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Conversation with Boots, all was done.
Yeah, like you've got athletes, footballers, fellow musicians behind your back.
And what happened on the back of this was, I remember Krep already got the Boots deal before he even was raising money. Do you know what I mean? He gave everyone opportunity to put money in and invest money. Everyone. So obviously I know it's different scenario when you're building something, but it's like once you build a business and you look at your books straight away and you know that the trajectories of your business is growing, then it's like dumbing down on like going to businesses or people that's not in these venture capitalists or not in these areas, but showing your business model that is growing and trying to crowd fund within your community. Do you know what I mean? It's not going to be easy. Don't get it twisted. But yeah, let's listen to what she has to say more.
They said they are going to freeze the current loans that we have until we're back on our feet. And that is where things started going downhill. It was a very scary time, but I was very confident we could make it work. All I needed was working capital of our £100,000 and to work extremely hard, which I had done all through the year to get things back on track. Unfortunately, it didn't help that my sister was still sick. And because of the loan obligation, my uncle and I agreed that he should step down so that he doesn't get stained by it. I went from 3 strong people managing the brand to just myself, while also supporting my sick sister and her family. It was the hardest time of my life, but I was very much confident that we could pull this together. All we needed was good marketing to be able to drive in the revenue, which is what I'm very good at. I informed the accountant so that he is aware. He advised me that while I believe I could make it work, he said it would be prudent for me to explore other.
This is where we need to be as well, accounting. Like, it's so important to have the right accountants. Like, remember, some accountants will just invoice you just to send an email or certain other things. Some accountants, they're not, it's very important to make sure that your taxes are minimal. A lot of people fly out, they live in Dubai or they live in certain places where taxes, or they set up their businesses in places where taxes are next to nothing because of obviously the operations. It's very important that you as a business look at these things and don't leave it, act on it. And this is what I say in the music space as well. Multiple artists don't even set up their business infrastructure and they're all paying VAT and big money where they can save it. But anyway.
The options of raising capital, meeting with a liquidator, just so at least I know the options that are available to me. I met with a few loan providers and a liquidator who was very relaxed about the situation. He advised me to declare bankruptcy, which is what most millionaires and billionaires in my situation do. That way, I will be able to walk away from the liabilities. It made no sense to me because at the time we had almost 1 million followers on Instagram and almost 300,000 subscribers to our mailing list. When it was clear to him that
look at the power of data. I always explain to you about IP data, building your own infrastructure. So you have a mailing list with 300,000 emails and names and whatever. So, and that's what you call currency. That is the business currency, having data. That's market share of the business. Do you know what I mean? You could do Black Friday, for example, is coming up soon. We have that day and you do a mass Black Friday. Get me? That's how businesses operate, and that's how you scale your businesses, and that's how you grow your businesses, through data.
I had no intention of declaring bankruptcy. There is when he suggested an investor. I was introduced to Ravi. Ravi was very keen on joining the business after he had access to our sales data. On one occasion, he couldn't believe we had made over £200,000 in sales over a weekend. And at that point, he literally started selling himself to me. Harvey was to bring a team of experts who had over 30 years of producing in the UK and in India. And such setup was to be made in Africa, which is what we have always wanted. It meant that not only were we able to solve our production issues, but we were able to invest back into the continent where we already had machinery like equipment that we bought during the COVID time. While I was very good at driving massive revenue to Grassfields through my good marketing, our profit margins were very low because we were producing in Africa as opposed to producing in a low-cost country like China. Him be able to...
So when I had so a lot of people always produce in China, India, Poland when it comes to certain products. You get me? So, and the fact that the company has borrowed so much money, how much percentage? 3%, 6%, 10% a month. It just spirals out of control. So when you now hear our 20 million fashion business, do you know what I mean? Like, oh, they was owned here, or it's just like, obviously I don't know in depth of how much the supplier was 2.2 million, by the way, not 20 million, my bad. But what I'm saying, when you're the brand is valued at 20 millions, but when you're hearing of the debt, it's based on flipping more how much they put on. Do you know what I mean? It's based on, oh, if you spend £100, I want back £150. You get me? It's crazy, man.
Bring such a team meant that the business will completely change and we'll be able to employ more people in Africa, improve our profit margin, and finally reaping the reward of the hard work we have been putting in the last 8 years. On the other hand, what I like is that unlike a loan provider or other investor, Ravi was extremely keen on being part of the business. That meant that while I was very good at marketing and bringing revenue, he will now be able to fill in the shoes of my uncle, who was in charge of the operations. He was also able to bring in contacts, being a lawyer himself, and also access to cash, which will allow us to grow the business.
Bear in mind, guys, this video was recorded and it went out in 2023. The company got dissolved in 2022. It went through liquidation in 2022. So now that this has come out, it's, do you know what I mean? And interest in Islam, interest is haram. But it's either a business, and companies that have money, they thrive off small companies, knowing that they're not going to be able to pay their interest, and then they just demolish the companies. It's crazy.
Business. I was to retain 50% of the company shares. The liquidator gets 20% and Ravi gets 30%. But in hindsight, the liquidator taking part in this deal should have been the biggest red flag. Not long after, I was informed that he was no longer going to be a shareholder and Ravi now was getting 50%. This was a very well calculated move by them, and you will soon understand.
And if you own 50% of a company, you're majority shareholder. So you can call the shots. That's why, obviously, if you're opening up a business and there's three of you, one of you that's going to own 34%, one of you that's going to own 33%, and the next one's going to own 33%. Now, if a falling out happened and one person wanted to get one person out, then obviously that one person in the middle is going to side with that other person. Do you know what I mean?
Why? And the worst part about that is that the man I was dealing with had multiple shady news coverage like a hit and run, and the fact that he did not want to pay some employees from a company he had previously acquired, and he had to take an MP for him to be able to pay them. I only came across this news coverage much later. Considering that this was the only ones that made it to the news, I wonder what else he has done. Giving 50% of Grassfields was definitely a lot, but I knew that we needed help with growing the business.
And that's where the problem happens. You're giving 50% of your company. Sorry, I don't know if I even, you heard it anyway, so you heard it, but I don't know if I flipped the screen. But that's what happened. Giving 50% of your company, you now are not in control on the back of that, because obviously you need capital.
And also with production in Africa. And him being an experienced lawyer and entrepreneur with access to people that can support. There were also other immediate things that we needed, which is refunding customers, bringing the working capital that we needed to continue operating, and also setting up a sophistication operation systems that will allow us to produce at scales in Africa, which is one of the main issues that we're facing at Grassfields.
And it's like, obviously this is more at a lower scale, but you can kind of hear things like this.
I borrowed a couple of £100 off you. What would I end up paying you back over a year?
50%. So anything you borrow is 50%, 20% on anything that's late.
What's the most you'd lend somebody?
That's a trick question. The most I've lent somebody or the most I would lend somebody?
The most you have lent somebody.
100,000.
And how long did you lend that over?
6 months.
And how much did the person have to pay you back?
150,000. And it saved them their house. I need to make sure that they can pay the money back first and foremost. Whether it be taking a logbook for the car, there's certain people that for me that can vouch and say, yeah, he's good. I take their word for it. But yeah, you know, generally 5,000, 10,000, all depends on what they need it for.
So I want you to understand, for a normal business, you look at the ROI and them growing their business by 15, 20% a year. That's high, yeah? So if these loan sharks are lending money and they're wanting whatever, 3%, 4% a month, how is the business meant to keep on going? It's going into more of a hole, more of a hole, more of a hole. Do you know what I mean? And this is obviously going on to what the company has kind of laid out. I'll play a bit of it, because obviously Christelle said that how her business was stolen, you get me? And this is what she said, and this is what they said on the back of that.
If you're a black person right now, please listen. I need your help, please. It's been 5 days now. I've not been able to sleep. I can't sleep. And what is the most painful thing is that my sister and I, who founded Grassfields, have been taken away from, our company has been taken away from us. And during all this process...
And you got to understand, on the business side of things, a company can't just be taken away. Do you know what I mean? It's like, so important to have the right financial advisors around you, what you can get, the problems that you can get in. Also, when you're making so much money, you get through so much success quickly, you can not know how to deal with your money, spend your money, invest your money, accountants, all these other things. Do you know what I mean? And then things can spiral into control, out of control, and not understand what's going on. But a company hasn't been stolen. It's just the business side of things, and business is ruthless. No, don't care. They don't care.
These 5 days, they have just been ignoring us. They have sent us letters, legal documents, trying to silence us in not talking. And they keep posting on our Instagram page. I'm talking about the investors that we went into business with. Like, nothing has happened.
I want you to understand, yeah. You say they keep on posting on my Instagram page. I'm talking about the investors that we've gone into business with. They are investors. They have invested their money. They need to get the returns of their investment that goes into the contract. There's nothing that you can do or say that's going to stop that. So the unfortunate thing is, we have to understand business side of things before we sign contracts.
They hijack our emails, our company emails, even my...
This is here, it's misinformation, because if someone owns 50% of your business, they're not hijacking your data because you signed over your business to 50%. This is me understanding things. So when you're watching things like that, it's sad to see what's going on, but you can't blame it on the company, man. This is what happens.
Personal email, they went into my personal email, my Instagram, and They have done so many unlawful things during this whole process. And I'm saying that if they have the audacity to do this, they've done it before. But I'm going to fight for my business. They say we have fought for the last 3 years to make sure that Grassfield remained alive, even though my sister was sick. Today, I'm going to fight for Grassfields. I'm going to make sure that they pay for what they have done to us. Please help me.
Dear customers and friends, we hope you are
So basically, this is the response to what the sisters are saying. So let's listen to this one and then we'll go from there.
keeping well. It is with huge regret and sadness that we have been driven to write to you after a number of defamatory and malicious statements were published on social media about Grassfields. In light of this, it is important that we bring certain matters to your attention that you may not be aware of, and we have reported the matter to the police. Why have we had to act? In September 2022, the current management team saved Grassfields from extinction by buying it out of administration after its co-founders and sisters, Christelle and Michelle Ngannou, I hope I've said that right, ran the business into the ground. The company owes
And that is where it is once it.
suppliers, staff and customers over 2.2 million, despite the sisters making even more than that in revenue, resulting in huge personal gains to them.
And this is what we need to look at. But in our community, you know, it always happens. You see the Louis Vuitton, you see the first class flights, the business class flights, Ackhiii, you see all of that, the clothes, and you don't understand the business and getting into that deep debt and a company coming buying them out of that debt, you now don't have no control. So you going on the internet and saying that, you can bring up a mad case against you because it might not be all true. You get me? And you're using, obviously you being the faces of it, saying this is what's going on in my business. But if these lot didn't now buy you out, then you wouldn't have no business. You'll still be run to the ground because you're in 2.2 million debt that you have to pay staff and the suppliers. So
This is of course had a huge effect on you, our customers, some of whom didn't receive the products they ordered and didn't receive refunds, and staff who weren't paid for months. The new management has spent the last few months trying to clean up this mess, and we're proud to say we're making progress in fixing the issue that some of you may have faced. We're also proud to be investing in local manufacturing in Nigeria, where some manufacturers had refused to work with the company under the sisters' management due to not being paid. Nothing that Christelle
and I'll be honest with you, they just didn't have the right team. Didn't have the right team, didn't have the right accountant, didn't have the right financial advisor. Yeah, they were sitting on such a gold mine, but didn't have the right team to properly scale. Do you know what I mean?
Michelle have been sharing significant misinformation already. We are driven to set the record straight with you. The current situation. We have been made aware of defamatory and malicious statements being made out about Grassfield by Christelle and Michelle and some of the models who have worked with them. Additionally, information has come to light recently which leads us to believe that Christelle and Michelle had been diverting funds over to Grassfields for their own benefits, failed to pay their team, suppliers and lenders, continued to charge customers for products that they had no intention of dispatching whilst ignoring refund requests, and spent a large portion of the company's funds in a personal capacity, which ultimately led to the company becoming insolvent.
And you see this statement here, this statement comes with facts. Everything they said, we can prove how much money has gone from the company to your accounts. We can prove that there's orders coming in and this product is not available. We can prove all these other things. You're going on the internet saying the company was stolen and hijacked and that. But then you're on the flip side, you're saying I gave 50% of the business. But then on another side, you just didn't know how to operate and run your business properly. And you didn't have the right people around you.
in the process of preparing to issue an application at the High Court for an injunction to immediately restrain the founders' further unlawful activity in order to protect the business and its customers. Some of the above behaviour amounts to criminal conduct in the UK, and unfortunately we had to pass the information to the police and are cooperating fully with investigations.
Obviously, basically, they're just saying, look, defamation of character, like your defamation of the business, you're tearing down the business. We've invested in our money and now it's not gone your way. You're coming out, you're saying all this stuff. We have to go to the police or put an injunction to make sure if you say this, you need to be held accountable. We can sue you. You have to pay the money or go to prison. Do you know what I mean? Like, this is what it sounded like to me.
What you should know. The new management team purchased the business out of administration. Christelle and Michelle were given the opportunity to contribute to the business. The hope was that we could work together to rebuild the business. With this hope in mind, both Christelle and Michelle were rehired. In light of the above misconducts coming to light, we were left with no choice but to dismiss Christelle and Michelle from their roles with Grassfields last week. This was an extremely difficult decision to make, given the relationship you, our customers, supporters and friends, have built with Christelle and Michelle. Since their departure due to the unfortunate suspected criminal conduct, Christelle and Michelle have improvedly obtained and refused to return access or ownership to Grassfields, TikTok/Pinterest and Ackhiii accounts. They have threatened to use these social media accounts to spread further defamatory and malicious statements unless certain unreasonable demands, including financial demands, are met. The new management team will not be engaging with these improper.
So basically, they're saying, look, it hasn't gone right. We mediated. We got them back on board. It still hasn't gone right. Now, the sister's not given access to the business that the ownership, but the handles of the business that we own majority. So you're now out of the business, and the sisters are using the platform to spread slander and misinformation, and it's a criminal matter now, basically.
And unlawful demands. We should say that since Grassfields' new management team rescued the brand out of insolvency, we have rehired staff who previously lost their jobs, increased the workforce by 40%, invest in new infrastructure.
Obviously, now they're talking about the logistics and boom, 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 boom. Here, I get it. Obviously, I went into Grassfields Limited, and then obviously I started looking at when it was dissolved. Last statement, May 2022. Accounts. This may be the right one, I think. Grassfields Limited. But anyway, hopefully it's the right information. Ackhiii. So anyway, just going into that, you kind of know that now, just listening to the community, what some breakdowns of business owners, accountants, and etc., just so you lot are aware, and any business owners were aware of these things, because we always need to be aware. So.
It turns out that this business, Grassfields, has just been stolen from her by her business partner.
This whole situation with Grassfields is a huge eye-opener for us as business owners, but it's also quite sad to see. I am a business owner. I own an almost seven-figure hair extensions business, on the cusp of being a seven-figure hair extensions business. And I can see myself in the same situation as them. I'm reading through some of the comments and I'm loving the compassion and how much people in the community are coming together. But I'm also quite shocked by how many people are so ignorant to how much it takes to actually run a business. So I'll give you an example. So last year, in 2021, my accountant was submitting all of my accounts.
And you know why it's crazy? Sis said she is running a business is doing amazing. And when you get to this point of the business, this scale, obviously you need investment to a higher level in terms of cash flow, innit? It's so easy that this could happen because of just the deal structure, like just actually getting investment, and what is the right investment? What are we looking at? The contracts, do you know what I mean?
And every quarter you have to pay your VAT, right? And she was giving me estimates and saying, your VAT is going to be around 7,000, pay that to HMRC. Your VAT is going to be 9,000, pay that to HMRC. One of the quarters that she asked me to just pay 7,000, The VAT was 29,000. And
this is crazy. Like, obviously, Ackhiii. Ackhiii. There's no VAT over here. We're good. You get me? But, do you get it? She said there was one call that she was saying she had to pay 7,000, but actually had to pay 29,000. Bro, the UK is a scam. Remember I said that?
I had only put 7,000 aside, and that is all I had to pay HMRC. The reason I tell you that story is because I'm a hair extensionist. I've got a social work background. I love doing hair, and I went into the business of social work. Never have I taken on any courses with regards to accounting. And what I find interesting is that there's a lot of comments on social media where people are talking about she should have done her due diligence. She should have known this. She shouldn't have scaled too quickly. Well, how else are you going to scale? She took out a £200,000 loan because she wanted to scale her business that was thriving. And it just so happened that she had a family crisis at the same time. Now, I'm a twin.
She took out a £200,000 loan. So, and you got to understand what was the returns. Like, what would they have? What they're looking, is it 3% a month? 36% for the year? The growth of the business could be 20%. So you're still in a hole. Then you go again, or, do you know what I mean? Obviously, we pray that obviously our sister and crisis, these things in place. When you start operating a business and you get it to a level, you have to build a system in place where the business runs without you even there. Like, if there was ever an emergency, do you know what I mean?
And if I had a family crisis, if I didn't have management, I didn't have accountants, I didn't have someone managing the retail side of the business and have a system in place, I would be in that exact same situation that she's in.
She hit the nail on the head. I didn't even listen to all of this when she hit the nail on the head. Get me?
My business would grind to a halt because I would not care about my business if my sister was at the end of life. I just wouldn't care. So for me, I just think it's quite ignorant for us to be like, she should have known better. How? She is in the fashion industry, and she is in the fashion industry, and we all know the brand of Grassfields. They were incredible at getting a lot of brand exposure. So that is where her expertise lies. Creating the designs, getting in all the models, being like the creative person within her actual brand. How is she meant to know about all of the accountants, even if...
And that's where the business side of things, and this is why we need, like, there's so much black accountants out here. Do you know what I mean? And when I say industry reset, I'm saying as a whole, like, yo, this side of things, this side of things, this, and you actually are safe because you don't build the foundations of your business. It's mad. It's mad.
If you've done a basic accounting course, people could still come along and they can scam you. I know my profits and loss. I know my actual business finances. But when an accountant is giving you an estimate, you're like, oh, maybe I've got this a little bit wrong. They're the accountant and they're telling me it's 7,000 when it's 29,000. It's quite easy for you to get into financial debt because you cannot carry every single hat within your business when you scale to that size. So you hire experts or you partner with experts hoping that they are going to do right by you. And there is just some people out there who are just wicked and bad mind. And that is what happened to her. And I want us as a community to come by and really support these two sisters. I actually think that they should launch a completely new brand and be the face of the brand so that we all know that it is them who is running it, so that we can show them that we are behind them and we're supporting them, because a lot of people get scammed out of their businesses. That
100%. And that's when it reached to the scale when they need investment. Oh, you don't own your IP no more, or it's not where it needs to be. Trust me.
Video that I stitched just before was someone talking about how an accountant told Rihanna to buy a something million pound, maybe £9 million property, and it was a really, really bad investment, and it left her with £2 million in her bank account. Rihanna got done by an accountant. We can all get scammed by these people who come in, see us at vulnerable points in our life, or see the desperation for us to scale our businesses as black creatives, and they will take advantage of it.
That's very true. It's very, very true. And just listen to what Sis has to say.
The plot twist actually comes when you dig a little, when you just dig a little, you just scratch a little of the surface and look into one of the directors of GF Holdings One Limited, who is the company that bought Grassfields eventually. When you dig into him, that's a whole separate tangent on its own, because it's not directly relevant to the situation, but it is. I think it's important, if Grassfields is a company you were weighing up whether you wanted to support going forward or not, separate.
And this is what you need to know, because the sisters probably knew who they was laying in bed with, but they just needed the money. So either get the money, and to be honest, you borrowed 200k and now you're in 2.2 million. The logistics of that is mad. You get me? But just watch this statement. But for sis to even go into who the people are, obviously their history, every business owner is going to do a back history check into who they're going into bed with.
To this situation. Anyway. So as you can see, they kind of list the process through which they went to sell the company. They marketed it online, they advertised it on 2 websites, and then they received, this was all done in September 2022. They received 13 inquiries about the business. They sent out NDAs to all of those businesses. Only 6 people returned the NDAs, so they continued discussions with them. But in the end, they only received 1 offer from GF Holdings 1 Limited, who's the company that ended up purchasing Grassfields.
Imagine receiving 1 offer. Of course, you're going to go with it. You're not going to go. You're in that much desperate need to get the money. It's like, yo, yeah, take it. Bro, it's crazy. That is like decisions that you just don't know what's going to happen.
As you can see in this little bit that's below me here, the valuation that was provided by an independent entity in September 2022 for a willing buyer was 35 to 40,000. But GF Holdings 1 paid 41,000 for Grassfields. I don't know why, but basically the reason that they sold at that price, so the administrators sold, but as we saw, Michelle was obviously engaged in this process because she's the one who initiated, I'm assuming on advice of her accountant, and initiated the proceedings to engage an administrator. Once you engage an administrator is responsible for overseeing the process. But yeah, so basically they got 41k for it, and that was above the.
Imagine company valuation at 20 mil, but obviously through the madness you're getting 41k for it. It's madness, and this is the accountant speaking here.
Nobody's asked, but I thought I would give a view of what's going on with Grassfield drama at the moment, just from an accounting perspective. A lot of people talking about like legal stuff and whatever, and I guess laws come into it, but to be honest with you, I've gone on Companies House and it's actually like really straightforward accounting stuff. So the premise of this is this is not a judgment on anybody that's made videos, and if you want to like judge me, that's fine, but I'm just kind of giving an accounting view of, how things work. And this is not about these ladies, and this is really unfortunate what's happened to them. It's also one of the reasons that when people are starting out in business, I often advise them not to incorporate their company and register it with Companies House immediately, because people really don't understand the implications of what they're doing and the administrative burden that comes with doing this. This isn't the case for these ladies, because they absolutely would have had to do that. But a lot of people are going, I don't understand, I don't know who they owe money to. If you look at the financial statements, and they have a bridge version, so they only have the balance sheet, there is a huge increase in their creditors, both those that fall due within 1 year and those that fall due after 1 year, so long-term creditors we call them. That indicates that they've taken on a lot of lending, and that.
There you go. They've taken on a lot of lending, and they have to pay a lot of money back. And this is what I'm trying to say: the 3%, the 4% a month, 36%, 50% that they have to pay back to the people that they're borrowing money to. So how are their company meant to stay afloat if their company's growing by 15, 20% for the year? You got to understand these things, man. It's not always about, you got to be very careful.
That could be, I don't know, secured or unsecured, I have no idea. And if they've done that, they actually don't have enough liquid assets to be able to meet those demands. So the company isn't what we call a going concern. Accounts need to be produced on the basis that a company is a going concern, which means that you believe that yeah, literally, you believe that your company will be good for the next 12 months. Looking at this, it's hard to see how that could be the case, especially with the position that they were in, Brexit, the pandemic, whatever. They had 143,000 in cash at the end of 2021 or their financial year, and well over $1 million or something in loans that they had to pay. You know,
Ooh. Imagine that, 170,000 in cash, but well over $1 million of loans that they have to pay.
Majority of that being within the year. It just felt like it was never going to be met, right? But obviously taxes and stuff are still due when you have that kind of things. Taxes and stuff will still be due. And what it seems like is that they got struck off, like they went into administration, and that's how the company was lost. And it's like super unfortunate, but honestly, like I can't see, I don't know necessarily about legal side of stuff, but I'm talking about literally from the accounts. The company to me doesn't seem like a going concern, and I can see exactly why this would have fallen off. So
she's basically just saying it's within the sisters, isn't it? Like it's nothing to do with a company getting stolen from them or whatnot. It's how much money that they've loaned. And obviously we've seen Plant Made, another company that's obviously gone into liquidation and they don't own the IP no more. And this is what Auntie had to say. Obviously I'm not going to go into the full 6 minutes, but this is what Auntie had to say.
Another one, it's another one. 3 things we can learn from Plant Made. The business that recently has published a statement saying that they are closing. Listen in. Number 1, if you are a Black-owned business owner, you are allowed to fail. Number 2, if you are a Black women-owned business, you are allowed to fail. Number 3, if you are a business that is seeking investment and receives that investment and it doesn't go to plan, guess what? You know what I'm going to say. You are allowed to fail. Let's switch up the narrative a little bit in terms of this concept of failure. What am I seeing today? Oh, it's the problem with investors. Don't get funding. Get funding. There's not enough funding. Why is there funding? There's not enough funding. All of these.
I think what the problem is as well, when you're looking to scale, you do need investment. So if you can't crowdfund with your friends and family, you're going to look at options for investment. And sometimes the terms and conditions are not the best. So then there's a catch-22. What do we do? Where do we go from here?
These comments, and ultimately what is all of them missing? The fact that as a business owner, as a Black-owned business owner, as a Black woman-owned business owner, you are allowed to fail. You are allowed to pivot. You are allowed to try new things. You are allowed for something not to go okay, and for you and Black business not to be pathologized into some kind of big discussion piece, opinion piece about, well, this is the problem with scaling. This is the problem with investing. This is the problem with Black businesses. They can't manage money. Maybe some.
But it's very difficult though, especially when we don't have as Black businesses. Not a lot of us has the infrastructure other than other businesses. For example, there's an infrastructure like this is what you do, this is what you do, this is how you do it from this one. The education is not out there sometimes, or maybe it might be out there, but there's so much education. What is the right method? Do you know what I mean? So,
Can't. Maybe some can. Maybe the lesson that you're taking away, which is why I feel I wanted to add my voice to this conversation, is this is why I shouldn't try. Why should I try? I'm only going to fail. The Black community is not going to support me. I don't see why. I don't know. Should I? Look how big they were. They were massive. They were all over TikTok. They were doing amazing things. Pause. Calm. Be still. Let's look at the real 3 lessons that we can learn from this recent statement. Number 1, that business existed. It left someone's consciousness, their problem-solving aspect that they wanted to bring into the world. They brought it into the world. They provided products that many people say were the most amazing products that they have ever used. They did it. They tried it. They made things happen. over a sustained period of time. That's lesson number one. Lesson number two, they grew, they scaled. They have been in a position where they were able to access funding. I'm seeing people, well, I went on Company's House. I shouldn't laugh.
Nah, what I would say, even just getting them up as well, thingy. I'm gonna call her mum because get me, that's respect. My mum's breaking things down. She's talking the thing, you know. You get me, big respect to mum. And what I realized as well with this thing is, you know how hard it is. It's hard, bro. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard. It's like, I think, what was I watching? I was watching, I think the product stuff. They done a video and they were saying, I can't remember if it's this one. I think it's this one.
4 years ago, two Ghanaians, Yao and Amma, set out to build the next generation of wellness brands. And they've done it while helping each other along the way. Started with no money and no network, Ava Estelle and Plant Made were born with problem solving at the core. Yao started Ava Estelle for his wife who had hyperpigmentation while they were dating, hoping to bring back her confidence and smile.
Amma started Plant Made because she suffered with hair loss and she wanted to find a natural yet effective solution, only to realize her family and friends had the same issues. Today we continue to build, having helped over 500,000 customers combined and serving our communities from the beginning.
But it hasn't been without its challenges. We both got cease and desist. Yes, we both did. We've had supply chain issues, manufacturing in-house has been a pain, but through it.
You see supply chain issues and manufacturer in-house, like that being a pain. Even going on to what Crept has said here, it's like, you got to listen to this.
What do we want this to look like? You know, imagine it on shelf, imagine it just as a brand. Yeah. How do you want this to look? And I think getting the brand and just designing the brand and the bottles was the first thing. And then after that, it was just finding the perfect manufacturer and team.
So what were the total costs to get the business going and where did the initial expense go towards?
In the initial process, we probably spent about 200 to 250,000 pounds. Just to get the product to the level that we wanted it to.
We're going to crunch more into the numbers, but
I want you like to understand this, and this is why I'll go from to and from, so you can understand to scale and grow a business it's a lot.
Went on Company's House and I can see this and they were this much in debt and that much in debt. Listen, I don't know if you go onto Company's House to check out the businesses of the backgrounds of all the businesses that you come across or who fail, but certainly every time this happens with a black-owned business, there is a level of forensic analysis that doesn't apply in other cases. Now, people are fine to do that. If you were an accountant giving your perspective, I'd say, we've got all sorts of lay people. Am I a lay person? I'm somewhere in the middle, speaking about things that I don't know they always have all of the context on. The statement itself, in fact, is actually quite ambiguous. But still, the forensic deep dive, this is what happened, this is what we need to learn from this. I want to say, my lessons for you, they tried, they did it for a sustained period of time. They had products that they brought out into the world. Their imagination, their creativity was allowed to live. It was allowed to be birthed and it was allowed to grow and mature for a set period of time. If it means now that there is a pivot, let them pivot in peace. If it means now that they're going to do something different, let them do something in peace.
What I'm going to say on this road is you get your business reaches a certain level and then it's like, it's happened with that and it's happened with Grassfields. And this is mum here talking about Grassfields in 2023. Big her up. And she had this to say.
So, Grassfields. In my other life, I have a few different lives. I'm a business coach and pricing strategist. I might talk about that a bit here, but this account isn't really for that. But this is definitely a social dynamic and a business conversation. Now, I've just read the statement from the company. And watched the video that's circulating from one of the sisters. And I understand her ire. I can understand why she feels how she feels. when you build something as a business, it's kind of like it's like you're giving birth to this creation. It's like a metaphorical child that you've created and brought into the world. The facts, though, are even from her own video, from her own statement, I was nearly homeless. We had a week to get these papers done. They promised to send an agreement. Now, let's just start with that. How on earth are you doing any business about your business without reading the agreement? Now, I know
and this is where we go wrong in our community, because there's not much awareness. Like, it took me losing 100K of management fees to get into this, for me to sit here and talk like this about the business side and how important owning your IP, and when you own your IP, getting contracts in place and do this and doing this and not doing that. So what I realized in our community is we're not the best at knowledge when it comes to, do you know what I mean? And having the best team around us when it comes to the logistics or contracts.
Most people don't read. They don't read things in detail. They often don't read things with comprehension. That's not a diss. That's not an insult to anybody. But in running my own business and in working with customers and clients, and just in terms of my experiences in the world, is lots of times people are like asking questions. I'm like, did you read the document? No. What have you signed up to? Don't know. What have you signed your rights over to? Don't know. So for somebody
and that is so true, and that happens in the music industry as well. That is so true. Mum hit the nail on the head.
To say, you know, we didn't receive the agreement, but yet they managed to invest money into our business. Well, that's just not due diligence, unfortunately. And it doesn't make me happy to say that, but that's a fact. If you are faced with any sort of...
She basically saying, listen, I'm not buying it, yeah? Ackhiii, I'm not buying it, yeah? You can't come over and said this thing and boom, 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 and you get me? You got to do your due diligence. You got to understand business. You got to understand what you're signing away. You have to take accountability. This is what she's basically saying.
Pieces of paper, reams of paper, read it. And if you don't read and understand it, engage with a lawyer to do so. So I wouldn't like to say that this is pulling on the heartstrings of the black community, but it kind of feels a little bit like that, and it's making me feel a little bit icky. I think there might be a part.
Obviously, look, Mum knows the things. She is not silly. Do you know what I mean? She knows the things. She's not silly. Like she understands that. Like, you got to take accountability. Obviously, I'm going to finish it off with what one of the sisters had to say, Christelle, and I wish her all the best. I think she's put this out recently, so yeah, man, let's play this.
As long as I made sales, my business will be fine. I used to think that as long as I made sales, my business will be fine, right? I was so wrong. The truth is, profit doesn't matter if you don't have cash in the bank. How do I know that? I learned it the hard way. At one point, my business Grassfields was making over 7 figures, but I never had any money. I was constantly stressed. I didn't know how I was going to pay staff, bills, suppliers. In short, it was a whole mess. Do you know what I wish someone would have told me? Cash is more important than profit. Look, you can make sales.
And this is when we look back, and when I look at what Crep said about raising investment, playing this back again, just so you're aware, you can hear what
about the process of raising your first £1 million.
Well, all my friends believed in me, like Holmes and that, everyone, like, they believed in it straight away as soon as told them the vision.
So how many rounds was it? Like,
we've done 2 rounds. We done 1.5 each round.
Okay.
To raise that first 1.5, it probably took 2 weeks. Everyone was just like, yeah, straight away. Do you know what I'm saying? I didn't really have to do a lot of back and forth with everyone. Everyone kind of just got it.
And this is before they've even seen like physical products. It's just idea.
We got it to a point where it was, yeah.
And what I realized, obviously, cash flow is everything, innit? Like, once you got cash flow, remember, I seen one of Crep's latest interviews is saying, bro, suppliers might want 100K worth of product, then they might want another 100K worth of product, and you need to pay for that. Then they might pay you a month later. Do you know what I mean? So yeah.
Sales as much as you want, but if you don't have cash when you need it, guess what? You are at a big risk. You need to watch your expenses. Don't let every spike in your revenue justify a spending. Don't do that. There's a wonderful book that I wish to recommend that I read some few years ago. It's called Profit First by Mike. This book is so good. It will give you all the details in terms of how you can manage your cash flow. Please make sure you read that book. A lesson I want you to take out from this video is that sales doesn't save businesses, cash flow does.
I hope that we've learned a lot from this, man. We know we're scaling. We know the importance of research. Get me? We know your business is starting to connect and grow, and you see what you're willing to do from early. Start understanding different options and going from there. Also, networking, going to networking events, understanding that you've now built a 6-figure business or a 5-figure a month business. Start meeting people. Start meeting multiple people that's got successful businesses. Start doing crowdfunding, seeding within friends and family. Start looking at your contracts. Start understanding these things. Do you know what I mean? And understand these little loan sharks or whatnot with these mad percentages on money that they want back. Be aware of that. So what I'm going to say is also this video here is more for the women, our women. If you're watching this video and you're not subscribed to this channel, you want me to make more videos like this, it will be more shorter, like 12 minutes, 15-minute clips. But I thought, because this is a Saturday and I know some people was at home, I wanted to kind of, you know, show appreciation to my mums, my aunties, the sisters, and just say thank you. So I thought I'd make this video for you guys. I know that everyone wants to build businesses as well. But make sure you like, comment, subscribe. Yeah, and see you next time. Peace.